got a way of starting conversations that ends conversation.
Why is your wife divorcing you?
Got a way of starting conversations that ends conversation. Funny.
Hello and welcome to Tina and Karen Do the Tube. I am Karen.
This is Tina.
You always have to say it that way, don't you?
Hell yeah. I gotta hype myself.
We don't have a hype man, so I guess you got a point there.
It gets me going.
I don't think we're important enough to have our own hype man, but we will be important enough to have our own, guests, speakers in the near future. I think I was talking to someone, and I'm hoping that I can get him onto our show. But I was talking to a paranormal investigator briefly.
Yeah, you mentioned that the other week while I was on vacation. I'm like, where do you find this guy? Is it someone you found on the internet, or is it in person, or
Craigslist? You can find anything on there.
Great. Oh.
But no,
except for sex. No. Apparently they took out the
casual encounters.
What? Yeah, they took out that. They said that there were too many dangerous things going on.
Well, I mean, I would know because I've actually frequented casual encounters. So, and yes, there are some freaky stuff going on. Yeah, I mean, I don't even want to get into that because I got a few stories I could tell. But
okay, we'll save it for later.
Save it for another time.
All right,
sure.
I'm very curious now. Actually.
Oh God, no, I just don't want to relive that moment. Actually, it's pretty horrific.
Okay.
I'll send you pictures.
Oh God. Oh no.
No. Okay, in all seriousness, we got a great show tonight. We're going to be discussing a few interesting topics. Of course, we're going to be discussing this new internet sensation about close to 1 million people have signed on to rush Area 51. We're going to be discussing that, and we're also going to be discussing an interesting conversation about the right to own, how the 21st century economy is not built for ownership. And maybe if we have time for it, we're going to even discuss the possibility and the ethical questions that arise from the conversation involving sex robots.
It's kind of a funny story how we got all our this week's subjects.
I'm sure you'll hear
it. Well, I did a little research on everything, so
I'm glad you did, because I did no research. I'm going into this 100% blind. The most preparation I did was I actually listened to the podcast you sent me. So that's my base knowledge about the subject. And I have opinions about property rights.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
So where do we want to start?
I kind of want to talk about this Area 51 thing, because that is a potential huge event if it actually came to be.
I really do want it to happen. If this is like the most internet thing that's probably happened this week.
It's all the internet clicks that are uniting behind this common mission. So, for those who do not know, who've been living in the dark, there is a Facebook group called Storm Area 51. They can't stop all of us. It was created by, I don't have the person's name. I'm sure he's already been arrested.
Yeah, I saw the name, but I don't think that really matters.
It doesn't matter. But they've gotten up to 985,000 people to join the group, and it's grown into this kind of cultural phenomenon that there's one of three things that could possibly happen, right? And each one is story worthy, right? So number one, no one shows up. At which point we will ridicule all those who did. Like there might be like 16 people looking around like, where is everyone? I thought we were gonna do this, and then they're dressed up in their biggest Naruto gear. That's
one possibility.
That's one possibility.
And that kind of reminds me of, like, you remember when the Standing Rock thing was going on with the oil pipeline, and everyone on Facebook was like checking into like McLaughlin, South Dakota, and when they weren't actually there, they were just kind of checking in there in support.
Right.
Yeah.
One more thing I need to before you. Sorry, I just needed to clarify one more thing that about this movement that I failed to mention is that in the description of Rush Area 51, the plan is to run in Naruto style with the arms back behind their bodies. Essentially to get less wind resistance. To increase on their velocity.
I did think scientists actually had to come out and say that running like that doesn't actually make you faster.
Bullshit. I've seen the cartoon.
Is that where that's from? I've heard of Naruto, but I don't really know anything about it.
I haven't actually seen the cartoon. That was a little beyond my time, Anime, I think by the time that show became really popular, I was already moved on to whole other things. The last big anime I think I watched was Dragon Ball Z. And they fly that way. They fly with their arms to the side, so tell me that doesn't help. I mean, I don't care what scientists say. I've seen it happen.
I've seen it happen on anime, That's as close to
Why
real
would anime
life
lie
as...
to me? I get much
going on to that second possibility.
Okay, so the first possibility obviously is no one shows up. The second possibility is the most horrific, and I hope this doesn't happen. But everyone does show up, or at least a good number, and they actually attempt to rush Area 51. Let's say it's even 10,000 people. That's a hell of a lot of people.
Yeah.
But
out in the middle of nowhere.
Yes, but it's not as if the United States military is just gonna accept this as a joke. I mean, they're accepting it as a threat.
Exactly. They think they issued a formal statement that they're aware of what's going on, and
right. And
they said that they have a need to protect American assets.
Yeah.
Whether that's from Americans themselves or not,
Well, not only from Americans, but from some of America's top treasures. Like Keanu Reeves and Chuck Norris have both signed on, and The Rock. All of them have signed.
Have they really?
They've all actually signed on to the group saying we're in. So we could be losing some, not just some geeky anime kids, but we could be losing some serious national treasures.
No, the Rock.
The Rock, I know. Hollywood's biggest star.
One of the highest paid movie stars in the last few years.
Is he really? I don't know if he is or isn't, but he's one of my favorites.
Per movie.
Well, Moana I liked, and then I haven't seen that many Rock movies. I've seen The Scorpion King, obviously. I mean, that's classic. But The Rock is one of the most along with Keanu Reeves, one of the most likable stars, right? No one.
He is, but have we talked about this before? I have my own opinion on him.
No, I don't.
It's
I know your opinion about Leonardo DiCaprio.
If yes, and viewers, listeners, if you don't know, he sucks. But that's for another podcast.
He doesn't, but.
But the thing with The Rock is he's a likable guy, but try and think of your favorite Rock movie, and where does that rank in your favorite movies?
Some people are gonna say probably the Fast and Furious series. A lot of people like those movies.
Probably.
But like I said, I don't know.
I mean, are you really in love with those movies?
No,
though?
not a single one, except for The Scorpion King.
I think maybe Standing Tall might be another one. Or is it Walking Tall? Or
I think it's Standing Tall. Shit, you know what? I'm gonna have to look that up because you got a good point there, Marty. The Rock is one of those stars who sort of transcends their actual acting abilities. People don't actually care about his abilities as an actor or the quality of the films he's in. They just care about it's The Rock in these movies. It's kind of like the Arnold Schwarzenegger effect.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in a sense, is he fulfilling Schwarzenegger's role since he became governor and then semi-retired?
It's okay. So Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, when you think about do you think any of Arnold Schwarzenegger's movies are legitimately good, except for maybe The Terminator and Predator?
I like Kindergarten Cop.
You like it. The reason why we love it is because it's Arnold doing the character. It's
not Arnold things.
It's Arnold movies. There's a certain quality to Arnold movies that they're enjoyable and they're likable, but they're not high quality movies. You know?
Yeah, like
Total...
The Rock is the Tooth Fairy.
I was gonna actually bring up Jumanji, but apparently a
I
lot of
haven't
people
seen
like
that
that
one
one.
yet.
I haven't either, but a lot of people I think like that one because it's got Jack Black, it's got Kevin Hart, and it's got the girl from Doctor Who. Everyone knows her from Guardians of the Galaxy. To me, she's always Amy Pond. So some really like good stars. So
Okay.
but my point about The Rock is that he's the Arnold Schwarzenegger of our generation. That in the sense that like we go to see it because it's The Rock, not because we think it's going to be a good movie. That's what Arnold was for the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, I mean, I watched that Rampage movie, and it was all right. But I mean, I mostly watched it because I had no idea what to expect, really.
Okay, I brought up The Rock on IMDb, Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
And
What's his highest rated movie?
This is what I was gonna say. So his top 4 known 4 movies. If IMDb does that thing where they tell you the 4 movies that they're probably best known for, it's Jumanji, Journey to the Center of the Earth #2, Moana, and G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Really? None of those I would have. Maybe Jumanji, but
I think Moana is a pretty good movie, and he's so. But
sure it is, but I don't. Can you really count voice acting though?
Yes, you can because look at Robin Williams.
Okay.
Thank you. But we're getting a little off topic. But like, okay, so the Area 51 thing.
Yes. Let's go to the third.
So wait, let's not just like discount the second thing. The second thing is not just like it's a tragedy.
How plausible do you think that is?
The second scenario?
Yeah.
I think the first scenario is the most plausible. And the second scenario is the second most plausible. The third scenario is that they succeed.
I wasn't even thinking about that.
What? No, that's not the. What's your idea? What's your idea?
Maybe if all 900,000 people showed up.
That's a lot of people. I mean,
I know. We'd already be hearing about it. They'd already be on their way to Area 51. You'd think.
Well, I mean, it'd
do
be
you know
a lot
when
of
the exact
suicidal
date
people.
is?
What?
When's the exact date?
I think it's in September. I think it's supposed to be in September. September 20th at 3 a.m.
Yeah, that's right. It's in the middle of the night.
That's when they're least expecting them. They have a fucking post.
I mean, I guess there's some strategy in that.
No, you don't announce your invasion. That's not a strategy. God, these headphones suck. I mean, just my God. Is this how bad our generation is? Is that we have this many suicidal people?
I don't know. Like
we are the
I think
antidepressant generation.
some people will show up. I don't doubt that.
Not enough
How
to rush.
many is I don't know.
Okay, so I'm gonna entertain the third possibility for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know Bob Lazar?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
So
you think he has a semi-credible story about working in Area 51 or a place near Area 51?
Well, yeah. So Bob Lazar is a physicist, and he was supposedly in I think the 1970s or early 1980s. He was recruited by the U.S. government to reverse engineer some alien equipment at Area 51. And he was sort of silenced for the longest time, but a recent Netflix documentary came out about his life and about what he has gone through. And I think that's what sort of sparked this group.
Really? You think?
I think it's in response to the fact that this guy has been taken more credit. He's been deemed more credible than we used to think he was. Like he's like according to Lazar, that his entire history was wiped out, like was erased. According to Lazar, he doesn't have a birth certificate. So the U.S.
That's crazy. Like, how do you get like a house or a job or anything without a? I mean, you're not technically a citizen without a birth certificate, right?
Yeah, well, like, according to him, like a lot of his like the people he was closest with were starting to get not only threats but like were like really harassed, and so I mean it's all a matter of opinion whether you find his statements credible or not. But like the recent documentary has brought a lot more people into the forefront of what Area 51 could be. And
Oh yeah, there's a Netflix doc that came out, right?
Yeah, that's the
I think
one.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's one of the focal points of the main focal point of the film. And Area 51 was in 2013 declassified. So
Yeah, they officially recognized it.
Exactly. So it's like it's this great conspiracy theory for decades in American pop culture. Area 51, Area 51. Independence Day did Area 51, right? It was always.
I mean, it was essentially just a badly kept secret.
It was a badly kept secret. But then in 2013, they officially declassified. Yes, there's an Area 51, but no, there's no aliens.
Yeah, it's a military Air Force testing grounds.
Yeah, basically. But like, since they were, why keep that a secret as long as you did? Is my question.
I don't know. Yeah, what took so long?
Well, I think.
You think it was just the sheer amount of like myth behind it that they had to like come out and try and like.
I was gonna say it's
that
actually
it's more of a normal base.
No, I think it was. Go ahead.
What's your opinion? You think they're hiding something there?
Yes.
Maybe something that we don't know?
Yes, 100%. I think that they are hiding alien technology.
You do?
I mean, I'm not the most credible source either because I tend to believe every conspiracy I hear because, well, I don't trust anyone. But I find it highly suspicious that they kept this secret military base a secret for as long as they did for no legitimate reason. I think the reason why it was declassified in 2013, and I don't know the exact reasons, they're probably out there that I could look up, but I haven't. I'm lazy today. I think it's because with the things like Google Earth and Google Map, I mean, too many people have access to aerial views of the desert and know exactly what's going on because there's too much like just restriction going on there that to deny that the area exists.
Yeah. In a sense, that was the move that they just had to make. You know, it just would keep getting more and more ridiculous, I think, if they kept denying it.
Another reason why they had to keep it a secret is like if they do really have alien technology, and from what I understand from Lazar's claims is they have anti-gravity technology. They don't want to release that information because the goal is to sort of decipher that code before anyone else can. Because
before the Russians,
obviously,
the Chinese.
It's always the Russians, or the Chinese. Yeah, exactly. But the point is, like, whoever controls that technology first, that's like the next big leap in technology. Who's the first to control anti-gravity? They basically just win. You win. You control force fields. You control time. They win the war, the tech war. With,
in a sense, it's like a anti-gravity arms race.
It is an arms race, essentially. And according to Lazar, that's the technology.
A secret one.
Yeah, and according to Lazar, that's the technology that exists already at Area 51. That he was, he was tasked with reverse engineering this technology.
And if I understand it right, he hasn't worked there in some time.
No,
right?
Yeah, I mean, like he was exiled essentially for going forward with this information. He's, it's confidential. We're getting a little off the beaten path again because really this is about a bunch of weebs who want to die. Okay.
Yeah, so it's in September. I do think there will be some people that show up. Maybe they won't rush the gate, but maybe they'll make like some party out of it out on the outskirts.
It'll be a party, you're right. There won't be enough people where they consider actually rushing.
Yeah, you'd have to be crazy.
Well, I think
you hear about people that roll up there and like they have eyes on you like miles before you even get to the entrance.
Right. I mean, this is not like you're going up against your neighbor's get off my lawn security system. I mean, you're going up against the top. You're going up against the top military force in the world. They know you're there. They're not gonna let you in.
Yeah, you'd have to have anti-gravity stuff to even consider that, and then what's your point?
I did have
Why are you
a
even rushing if you have it?
I did find an accurate simulation of what would happen.
You did a simulation.
There was a simulation of the Area 51 charge, and I'm going to upload it with the video. I don't know if we can do it on this audio, but Area 51 simulation. Yep. Okay, I'm gonna put that part up onto the video portion of this podcast. But
oh yeah, I gotta watch.
No, yeah, because I can't bring it up right now because I can't show you in the middle, but it doesn't go well. I mean,
really?
Okay, no, if you had to put your money on it, let's say the full amount, 1 million people did show up to charge Area 51. What do you put the odds at that they actually become successful?
I think if 1 million people showed up, I don't think the U.S. could morally kill that many people. If they actually did, there'd be a huge public outcry.
I don't think it'd be a public outcry. Oh, well, there probably would be a public...
You don't think so?
No, there probably would be a public outcry, but it's not warranted. This is suicide.
Then you'd have to think there is actual huge secrets there.
No, it's not even about that. This is death by cop, essentially, right? It's you know what's going to happen if you charge a military base, a secured military base. It's illegal. You're not allowed to do it, but you're doing it anyways. What? They just going to let it happen? No. These people are stupid.
No.
So, there might be a moral outcry from the people who don't understand that these people, these idiots, have agency, that these people are human beings with the capacity to reason, and they just made the bad decision of doing this. But legally, the military wouldn't be in the wrong, not at all.
No, legally not. But I think from a public stance, you'd definitely see some sort of backlash.
Oh, there'd be backlash, but not warranted, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's a backlash for everything these days. Seriously.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. We live in such an outraged culture.
Yeah, we do. There's someone yelling about something every time someone does something.
Well put.
To put it crudely.
Very crude. But no, that is an accurate statement. We live in an outraged culture. And I think I've heard that Facebook might actually have
something
to do with
that.
Oh, yeah, something to do with it. Social media definitely has a lot to do with our outrage culture.
There's a specific name for it. Something, not outrage culture, but it's been something going on specifically in the last year that you've been seeing more and more of it. But I can't recall the exact phrase.
Would it be like
it wasn't outrage?
It's not outrage, but
yeah.
I've heard victim currency. Is that what you're referring to?
Maybe something. I wish I could look it up here, but desktop's here is fried.
Yeah, you're on your phone, just for the listener. So maybe I can look it up.
Yeah.
I can type in outrage culture because that's how I've always heard it described. And I mistyped it. Of course.
It's
call out
like
culture.
That victim culture.
Is it call out
something.
culture?
Could be call out.
It's a
Is that
form
popping up?
Yeah, it's I typed in outrage culture. The first thing that comes out, call out culture. It's a form of public shaming that aims to hold individuals and groups accountable by calling attention to behavior that is perceived to be problematic, usually on social media.
We'll go with that.
Well, okay.
But yeah, I mean,
there's.
Go ahead.
I know you didn't want to maybe get too much into this subject because it's a whole another discussion. But
yeah.
Did you see the video of the short guy who was being an asshole to everyone about the fact that he couldn't get dates? I can't remember exactly what it was.
Oh, it rings a bell.
But
it wasn't a famous person, was it?
No, it wasn't a famous person. At least Tom Cruise didn't go crazy this time. There was this guy. This guy was 5'2". I think he went to a Starbucks or something. I didn't see the video. I only heard the audio. But apparently he was really I mean, he was really just had a mental breakdown, a full breakdown is the best way to put it, about the fact that he was like 40 years old and still a virgin, and he couldn't get dates because no woman wanted to date him because of his height. He's only like 5'2", you know? And I sympathize with him, but he was being a complete asshole to everyone. And like then he got like laid out. I think it's like someone like knocked him out or something, and it went viral.
Oh, jeez.
It went viral. I know, but there's okay. Two thoughts to this. One, he was behaving like an asshole and deserved what he got. But two, what is our tendency to just videotape all this stuff and put it up online? That's our first go-to instinct. I mean, don't you think that this guy's had a hard enough life, right?
Yeah, it sounds like it. You know, it's definitely frustrating. You know, I can empathize with him, but
I mean, like,
do you think
just the fact that he got laid out, like knocked out, don't you think that was him getting his just desserts? Do we really need to go further and then publish his
didn't really
humiliation?
need to become like a public video?
Right.
But
I mean, why is his like okay? So like, I do
that stuff doesn't like you know, the way things become viral too was a whole interesting phenomena. Like someone just could have posted that on like Facebook, and then you know, it depends on whether or not people share it or not. And somehow that happened to be something that.
But just the fact that they
popped
were
up in the headline news.
But just the fact that they're willing to publish that to the internet, like that's first off, when it gets published to the internet, that's like public record forever. So this guy's never escaping that. I mean, I don't know. I just like there's something about this whole video. I need to videotape everything that happens to me and then publish it because maybe this could be my ticket to stardom or something. I don't like that kind of attitude in this culture because I think the fact that he got laid out, that is the appropriate response to his behavior. Like the fact that he needs to be publicly humiliated. Yeah, he gets decked out because he's being an asshole. Like he's complaining about like, oh, women will never date me because I'm short. I mean, yeah, he's being a little bitch, but I think that's.
I mean, this could ruin the rest of his life. He'll always be known as that guy.
Not only that, like, how do we know this guy is at like he's at his end, right? He like having a breakdown, and then you take a guy like that who's had this hard life, he's been rejected for so many years, and he's lonely, and then on top of that, you just humiliate him, publicly humiliate him. How do you know he doesn't just want to go home and kill himself, really?
I don't know. Some people do that. You know,
yeah.
It's sad. It's the reality of the time, but people will post that stuff up just to get themselves attention. You know.
I know.
This actually creates a nice segue into one of our other topics.
I was thinking the same thing, actually.
Do you think that he would have been less frustrated had he had the companionship of a sex robot?
Okay. I need to get a refill on rum really quick. I mean, you mind stalling for just a quick second so I can pour myself a new drink?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, just go on.
We'll give this space for advertisers here.
Okay.
Or sponsors.
Tina and Karen is brought to you by...
Nobody.
Who would God honestly support this show, really?
If you're interested in
onthefield.com?
I don't know if I want to attach that.
Okay,
to us
we're cutting that. I'm cutting that. I'm cutting that whole bit. We're funded by no one. We're funded by ISIS.
We're self-funded here.
Okay, just stall a bit more. I'm gonna pour the drink.
All right. So I had a pretty good week. Wasn't too bad. Lots of work, but you know, I just came back from a trip up in Alaska, so I was fairly refreshed. I'm not even sure if Jet's gonna cut this out.
All right, I'm back. Okay, I got bad news. I ran out of rum.
Uh-oh.
I know.
So what'd you switch to?
I got a beer. I was drinking Ron Abuelo rum.
You sound so defeated.
I am. I was actually enjoying some really nice rum from Panama. When I went down to South America, I bought some rum because I'm actually a big fan of rum, and why not get it from the Caribbean area, right?
Well, why not? I didn't even know you had any Panama rum.
Oh yeah, Ron Abuelo.
Whenever I'm over, you always have that like Captain Morgan's or
I don't. I have Bacardi. That's usually my go-to rum until I realized that there was stuff that was cheaper. But I did have a nice bottle of nice rum. But I just recently went out, which is a good thing. I'm going back to South America soon because I need another bottle.
Yeah, so we'll be off the airwaves for 2 weeks. 2 weeks at least.
It's gonna be 2 weeks, and we'll be sure to do. I think we should do one live and video and in studio together next time. So I think we can do
just
that.
so you can see our lovely faces again.
Yeah, and I'll be have a nice tan going on.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. All right.
Will it be warm down in South America?
No,
Should
not
be.
at all. I'm going during their winter time.
It's actually the winter time. Yeah, that's it.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I'm going to Buenos Aires, and shoot, I really hate these headphones. They're really I can't hear anything right now. I'm going down to South America in their wintertime, Argentina, Buenos Aires. But it's semi near the equator, so it's not like their winter is nothing like our winter. It's just
Dry.
I would say it's going to be like 50s, maybe getting into the 60s.
Okay.
It's not really that bad. Still beach weather in my mind, so I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Oh,
Up here in Seattle, I mean, summer has sucked so far. So.
Well, it's been kind of like the funny thing is we kind of had a hot spring, but it's been kind of a mild summer at the same time.
Yeah, like today was the warmest day I can remember in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. No, it's been like rain and like kind of mild temperatures. I kind of enjoyed it because we were in a drought, so I appreciate the rain.
Yeah, and especially for the wildfire season too.
Yeah, and I checked the Farmer's Almanac, and according to that, we're going to have a similarly kind of a mild August, and then we're going to have a really wet winter this year, apparently.
You really believe in the Farmer's Almanac?
Yes. One word answer. I don't have to
Really?
debate this. No.
I'm surprised it's still around since the advent of the internet.
It's more accurate than most meteorologists.
Is it? I don't know too much about it, other than I used to remember seeing it in like the grocery line, where all the tabloid magazines are.
We can have this debate on another podcast because I'm willing to have it, but I think the topic for tonight is sex robots. It's far more interesting.
Yes. That's what our viewers or listeners want to hear. Right?
Yeah. So let me just start off. I don't have the article in front of me. Jesus Christ, these headphones are bad, man. I need a new one. Like it's really bad. I can't hear anything. It keeps fading in and out. I don't have an article in front of me, so let's just start by saying sex robots.
Yes.
I'm going to pose a question to you.
Yes.
Would you?
It's a hypothetical.
It's not even hypothetical because they exist.
Oh.
Would you consider getting a sex robot?
I think I saw when they rolled them out, maybe within the next year or two, they're gonna be priced around $20,000.
Yeah, but
So no, I wouldn't justify spending that money.
No. Well, hold on. Okay, I agree with your position, but let's say there was financing, right? Making a financing for a car, for a house, or any big purchases. This is essentially one of your life's big purchases, right? I'm not joking about that.
Me for Martin's sex robot.
I'm just I would love to go to your house sometime and then just have that sitting in the corner, and I'm just thinking, God damn it. It's got lifeless eyes, and it's just I know what you do to it.
That's the thing. Like people know if people saw one, they would know what's going on.
But how far into the future do you think that we can get to the point where they're fully sentient, like they have their own personalities and they can interact with you just as any human could? I guess not full artificial intelligence,
to have
but
AI. So
yeah,
they are supposed to talk to you like a chatbot would talk to you.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Have you ever talked to a chatbot?
Oh yeah.
They're really bad at holding a conversation, actually.
They are, but they at least can give you some semi-intelligent answer.
That's my thing. Like apparently I've read like that their sex robots smart enough that they can remember your birthday, your favorite foods, your favorite everything. Like they have a internal storage where they can actually.
So they remember all the little things.
Yes, all the little things. No, people
Yes.
are. You know that this is going to turn into people are going to fall in love with them, right?
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So I get there's a number of questions that come up. in
It's
regards.
just how big of a thing does it start out as? Because it will be a thing. I have no doubt.
Well, there's no stopping it, right? If
Yeah, I think it's inevitable. Like, it just, I think it's just some part of human nature would make people want sex robots and fall in love with them. Just like people love their animals, or
no, nothing like
some
that.
people are wired different to love walls.
What? No, nothing like that. This is a very
Nothing like that?
It's nothing like that. This is a very
Okay.
This is a very clear, predictable response to a change in stimuli.
Okay.
This is a so gender relations over the last 30 to 40 years have changed dramatically, and arguably not for the better. And men are receiving less sex than ever. Women, on the other hand, they're getting more sex than ever. But men are getting less sex than ever. So why wouldn't they get lonely? Why wouldn't they be like saying, hey, you know what? A sex robot is actually a good alternative. Not only that, but like with divorce at the rates that they're at, and they're expensive. Divorces are expensive. So you look at that $20,000 price tag, right?
Oh yeah.
How
Just
much is
like having kids are expensive now
Well-
too. It's like $20,000 to have a kid.
Okay, yeah, but how much is the average cost of a divorce?
I don't know, but I'm sure it could be a lot. We just saw, the richest man get divorced, and he ended up only losing 25% of his wealth. But that
Well, the average
still
cost
like
of,
way more than
the average
anyone
cost
else
of a
would have in a
divorce is
lifetime.
about $15,000. It's actually low.
That's better than you thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but now you compare that
That's not-
$15,000 of divorce heartache compared to $20,000 for a sex robot, and the price will come down.
It's all about mathematics.
Well, it's the first law of capitalism. The more competition there will be in the market, the people will be competing for lower prices.
That's true. They're the only viable, I think, commercial one that's coming out. Its name is Harmony. It's made by
You've looked up
Abyss
the name.
Creations. Ironic company name.
You've looked up the name.
Yeah, I did.
Of course you did.
Of course I did.
Yeah. You did your
Apparently-
research.
So this topic was actually a joke by Jet, but I decided to run with it.
Right.
So,
Okay, so we were actually talking about what do we want to discuss for this week's show, and I think like he brought up a joke about. Well, he didn't. He brought up a legitimate topic he wanted to talk about, but I misinterpreted him and said sex robots.
and we left it at that for
left-
a while, so I started doing research.
But to be fair, I think that this is a subject that warrants discussion. I wasn't prepared for it either.
No worries.
Okay. So, but do you think that,
Yeah, it is called Harmony. They won't have any competition for at least the foreseeable future, as far as I know. There's one other person making one, but I don't think theirs is quite up to snuff.
Yeah, they're the
yet.
Pepsi. They're the Pepsi version.
So I mean, the Pepsi. Yes,
Well, they're not
exactly.
Coca-Cola. They're not traditional, original, classic Coke.
So once the more they start rolling out, I'm sure you will see the price go down.
Okay, and then you compare that with the cost of divorce, and the fact that so men are getting less sex than ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why wouldn't this seem like an appealing option?
I don't see why not. Like I said, I think there's every reason to believe that this will be a thing, but some people would make an argument there's less of an ethical reason to.
Less of an ethical reason?
I guess ethical, moral, one of those arguments. A lot of people argue that, like, by having a sex robot, you're essentially objectifying another human,
Right.
in a sense.
Right.
And specifically for people like pedophiles, like, what if they start rolling out kid sex robots? Or
I'm glad you brought that
something
up
to
because
that
that actually has been discussed. Because that's one of the great questions involving sex robots. Is like, well, first off, for the record, I'm not in favor of sex robots. I
think people
I'm not
really
against them.
are in favor.
I'm not against them,
Personally?
but I'm not really for
Exactly.
them because I see the arguments against them, but at the same time I see the arguments for them. It's like I don't have a strong opinion about them, but I do understand both sides, and that is a good question about you brought up the pedophile thing. Would this be a good deterrent for child molestation if you built childlike sex robots. Now, I'm sure
I don't know. I'm sure regulators would jump in immediately and say like, you can't do that.
Well, okay. So what if we could show? What if we could
Mm-hmm.
show that building child sex robots and sold them to pedophiles? Okay, no, I'm listening. This sounds horrible.
Okay. Yeah, I know it sounds horrible.
It sounds
but...
horrible until you see where I'm going with this. But if that led towards a decrease in the number of kids being sexually molested, kidnapped, or killed, would you be in favor of it at that point?
If there were studies, not just one study, but few studies, maybe 5 to 10 years.
You're being quoted and published on the internet for all time that you're in favor of child sex bots. So that's the worrisome part about this discussion. Good thing we have aliases, Tina.
Maybe if they could prove there was some causation that would say they give them to, sex offenders, and once they're released and they just give them to them for free, and let's say they're less likely to commit, maybe say
Hold
it's like
up,
a second degree.
You're talking about like taxpayer-funded sex bots, sex children bots for pedophiles.
I know it keeps sounding worse and worse.
It sounds. I wasn't talking about like we provide them for them. Like we provide.
Okay,
the
they still have to pay for them.
Yes, I'm just saying. Like, do we make them available?
Because I do think some pedophiles would probably try. I don't know. I'd have to talk to one, but I don't really want to talk to one. So.
Okay, we're gonna go on the subreddit for pedophilia right now.
Oh no!
No.
Actually...
I don't know. I'm gonna find out. I imagine there's not. But if there is, there's
okay.
There's
it sounds like more of a darknet sort of.
There's usually a subreddit for everything, but I imagine you're right. It's probably only in the dark web.
Yeah.
Okay, thank God. Oh my, there is no subreddit for pedophilia.
Thank God, we got one good piece of news.
God bless America. That is actually good to know that we haven't sunk that low as a society. Okay, now I'm gonna go on to the dark web.
Oh gosh, I think it could be good. It could be good if it means less children being trafficked. Then I'm for it.
Okay, because then there's the whole argument that I sent to you, that debate with the man and the woman, and for the record, it wasn't that great a debate. That was the first thing that came up when I typed in Google, hey, sex robot debate. It wasn't a good debate.
Yeah.
That woman brought up the ethical idea that it objectifies women. What do you think about that? I mean, do you agree with her?
I don't think it, for all users of the sex robot, it would objectify them in all states, I guess. But some people would start objectifying women more and more based on their use, but I don't think that's for every user per se. And a big thing, apparently even for some of the makers of the sex robots, is like the second company that is trying to develop something right now says he's not going to build a sex robot that doesn't have some sort of consent. Like the robot has to consent.
Wait, what?
I guess consent is like a big thing or a big argument in the sex robot community.
Oh, okay. You're talking about a sex robot that's programmed to reject him to sort of fulfill his rape fantasy.
I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I can kind of see that. I think that's a fringe market because I just don't think that there's that many rapists out there, period. But the rapists who I know who are out there, I don't think they're going to get their kicks from having sex with a robot. I think that they actually enjoy the idea of abusing people.
Mm-hmm.
But so I don't necessarily. Okay, so in the woman in the debate, one of the things I disagreed with her most, and I'm gonna so cut this right now. I'm actually gonna play a little bit from the debate and put that into our podcast before I published it. So listen to this woman and what she says right now.
Is we need to stop thinking about the sex trade, and that means prostitution and pornography, and then all the sex text that's coming out of it, as an inevitable response to some innate biological phenomena, because that's the argument. There's an innate biological phenomena, and this is just a consequence of it. I want people to stop thinking about it as innate and start thinking about child abuse and prostitution in ways that it really is. It's really about politics. Politics is about power, who has power and who doesn't have power, and who can exert power over others. Technology can't solve the problems of child sex abuse and prostitution. The technological response will just keep reinforcing the isolation, keep creating that distance, and unfortunately keep creating that objectification.
I don't disagree with a lot of what Kathleen said, but I think there are some very important points where we differ. I didn't actually find her answer at all satisfactory. It doesn't answer the question, how can we provide satisfactory sexual relationships for people who don't have the ability themselves to find their own sexual partners. There is no political way to do that. Such people either have no sex at all, or they have to have sex with a robot or maybe with a prostitute.
I don't actually agree with her. For the record, I spliced it in there. Because I don't have it queued up. The idea that we can have a political answer for the fact that men feel lonely and feel the biological need to have sex is ridiculous. How are you going to legislate that? Like, there's always going to be a certain amount of men who are not going to succeed in the, singles game, the dating game. How are you going
to natural selection game?
Natural selection. How can you possibly legislate that? She believes that there's a political answer for the fact that we have lonely men in society. What the fuck are you going to possibly do about that? You're going to have such tyrannical regulations that you sort of and for the record, I don't agree with what the decisions most women make when it comes to selecting their partners. But it's their decision to make, right? Yes. How are you going to possibly... See, this is one of the things I don't like about the left. And I have my complaints about the right, and I'll list it for another podcast. One of my biggest complaints about the left is they believe human beings are infinitely malleable, and we can mold them to be whatever we want them to be, right? I don't think that's true. I think people are subject to their biology. We're somewhat malleable. We can change somewhat, but we still have basic biological functions. One of them is the need to reproduce. I mean,
by suppressing that, you create very, very bad situations.
I think you make it way worse when you start. So this idea that men objectify women because it's we're culturally driven to do so, that's a feminist bullshit. I think that men objectify women because if men didn't do that, then the species would cease to exist.
If all men objectify women, women wouldn't choose those men per se.
I think the women do tend to choose the men who actually objectify them most. Don't you think?
I don't know.
Okay, yes, you do.
Maybe it's more the women that aren't being objectified that...
I will say this. Intelligent women don't choose the men who objectify them. But
I think they're...
But women...
that one...
But women who aren't really in tune with that are more likely to go for the guy who's more likely to objectify them. And any guy who's been rejected knows this to be true. Because there's this nice guy syndrome out there. And this is what we're talking about with the sex robot thing. There's this nice guy syndrome out there that if only she chose me because I would treat her well. I don't think she wants to be treated well. Yet. Because she hasn't been treated badly enough. So I think there's...
Go ahead.
No. I've said enough. I'll let you say. Go ahead.
I don't know. You're just gonna have the good and bad parts. You can't completely subjectify a woman, I guess, because then you lose that inherent chemical attraction. It's just something inherent.
When you say
I think maybe men could be better on not overtly.
Oh, men could be a lot better.
Explicitly objectifying women.
I think men could do a lot better than they're doing. Believe me, If there's anything I hate more than women, it's men.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's a good way to phrase it or not, but I don't care. I hate people in general.
But back to like the sex robots.
I had a bit of a digression there, I'll admit. But I think it all fits into this conversation about why we have sex robots to begin with.
Yeah, why would we need to? You don't think that in a perfect society we wouldn't?
No, but in a perfect society, like, it would take... There is no such thing as a perfect society, period.
Yeah, that's true. Even in a utopia, you have bad things that wouldn't really make it perfect in our sense.
Okay. Well, actually, like, what's that Russian author's name? He wrote Crimes and Punishment.
Dostoevsky?
Dostoevsky, yes. I can never pronounce his name right because it's fucking Russian. It's a bullshit language that someone made up on the whim. But anyways, in his book Notes from the Underground, like, he wrote that, like, the first thing mankind would do if they actually achieved the utopia is burn it down.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing mankind would do if we ever achieved the utopia, and I think that's honest to God true. We actually crave struggle and challenge. We don't want life to be fully comfortable and easy. We want challenge.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's been tons of books written on it. I think Brave New World is another one that touches on that.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of crazy. Spoiler alert: at the end of Brave New World, the guy ends up just hanging himself because that was the perfect thing he could do. And in a sense, that speaks to like Dostoevsky is like if we achieved that perfect state, we'd probably just burn it down.
Yeah, I think that is honest to God the truth. Unfortunately, that's unfortunate. We'll never achieve a true material utopia because, well, that's just not enough. I think we're I don't agree with the materialist claim that that's enough. I think that we're just as much spiritual as we are material. And that we crave challenge and struggle and burden. So that's a little I will say about the sex robots thing, it does scare me from a point of view that this will like hinder in our progression. Because if men have I think one of the driving...
If they don't have any motivation to go and seek a healthy relationship, then
there's a motivation to do anything, right? I mean, the healthy relationship's the most obvious, but I think like sex is a great motivator for men to do almost anything. And if they have like easy access to sex from a sex robot, they're just basically gonna sit on a chair, eat Cheetos, play video games, and fuck their sex bot. That's their life.
That's the direct result.
That is the life of the 21st century male. It's sad. And that is basically the end of the human species.
Now, to be fair...
That's the height of human evolution. Sitting on a chair, eating Cheetos, playing video games, and getting a blowjob from a robot. That is the height of human existence.
That's the utopia.
That is the utopia. Yeah, that's right. That's damn right. Yeah, that's exactly that was what we've been building towards. Fuck, for the first time man came out of the cave and started build a fire. That was the dream.
The first time we built the statue in our image.
The first time we fucking like built a water system that works so we could grow our crops. This is what it's been building towards.
Sex robots.
Sex robots while eating Cheetos. I don't know why Cheetos. That's something of the image of having that orange sticky fucking goo on your hand. It's the perfect lazy man's snack.
It's your own Cheetos. It doesn't have to be Cheetos.
I love Cheetos though. I mean, personally.
I'm not a big Cheetos guy. I know something about the texture. It kind of looks like constipated turds.
That's orange. It's got the cheese orange.
Okay.
It is a weird shape, I'll give you that.
To be fair, these robots are overly marketed to men, but we haven't touched on the flip side about why a woman may want a sex robot.
Ooh. Have they made male sex robots yet?
Yes, they have.
They have?
Not ones with AI, but they've definitely made very realistic dolls.
Well, how's that any different from a dildo?
Well, that's the thing. Like the first one I saw had basically a hole where the penis is,
Oh
and
my
you could
God.
insert a flaccid one, or you could insert various different other ones.
Dude, he's hot. His name's Henry.
Did you look it up?
Yes, I just did. I didn't believe it existed, but there is a male sex robots with bionic penises.
Well, the one I looked up is called Gabriel. But...
Better than vibrators. And he's built, dude. It's like he's got the perfect body.
They actually did a study. The company
Kind of looks like Jake
that,
Gyllenhaal.
marketing these dolls to women, and apparently, like on average, the women go for a kind of boy next door look, light chest hair, and then most surprising to me is they actually prefer a good amount of pubic hair.
Oh yeah, I'm never into the manscaping thing myself.
Seems, but yeah, it's very counterintuitive.
Yeah. Hold on.
the
Hold
women
on.
that-
I'm gonna send you the pic.
Oh no.
Did you get it?
You sending it over on Skype? Oops,
It looks like
hold on.
Jake Gyllenhaal,
Oh my god.
doesn't it?
It kind of looks like a mix between him and who's the Twilight dude?
Oh, you're
Who
right.
was playing Batman. Eh?
Yeah, he does kind of look like that guy. That's another thing about like women I don't understand. Like, so Twilight is like one of the most sexist books you can imagine, right? And yet it's like the best-selling book for women, except for what's the fucking book? 50 Shades of Grey.
Which you argue is in a sense just like Twilight, but without werewolves and vampires.
No, the woman
Right?
who wrote 50 Shades of Grey was inspired
Mm-hmm.
by Twilight. It originated as Twilight fan fiction. That's how she originally wrote it. I don't know
That's right.
who the fuck wrote. I don't know who wrote 50 Shades of Grey, but that's how the book started.
It's so weird. And she just added her own twist, and
Well,
in a
once
sense,
I think
I have a vague understanding of the whole series.
Well, I think once
I did
Stephanie
read the first
Meyer,
book of Twilight, and I did read the first book of 50 Shades of Grey.
You did. What'd you
I
think?
did.
What'd you
Because
think?
I want to gain perspective.
Was it as bad as everyone makes it out to
they're
be?
both easy reads.
Well, I'd imagine that they're easy reads. I don't think Stephanie Meyer is any kind of J.K. Rowling. I love the Harry Potter books. I think
Have you read them?
I've read the first 4. I
Okay.
read them when I was a kid, you know.
A few people I've talked to have argued that she wasn't actually a great writer when she started, but
Really?
then as she progressed, she became much better at writing.
My favorite book was Prisoner of Azkaban. Of the series.
Second one or third
That's
one?
the third one.
Third one?
But I thought the series was great. I mean, isn't she like the richest
Yes.
author? Or is it Stephen King?
No. I think I looked this up not too long ago. It's one of those like Daniel Steele or
I'm gonna look at richest author. Nigel Blackwell is that? No, wait. We got a couple that are higher than him. Wow, there's a billionaire. Who the fuck is Elizabeth Banniton?
never heard of her.
I've never heard of her either. I'm gonna hold up. I'm gonna scroll through this. You got a
Hold
couple.
on.
Yeah, you got a couple of your obvious ones like Dan Brown, John Grisham. I saw
The guys
Stephanie
who
Meyer,
keep pumping out a new book
James
every year.
Patterson.
And it's semi-popular.
Elizabeth Bannister. Whoa, she's worth $1 billion. Seriously, she blows J.K. Rowling
from
out
her
of the
books.
water. Yeah. Well, so it says that
Anyway.
she's a French philosopher, author, and historian. Bannister is best known for her philosophical treatises on feminism and women's role in society. A 2010 Mariana News magazine poll named her France's most influential intellectual. Elizabeth Bannister's net worth is approximately $1.3 billion, making her the richest author in the world. She's
never heard of
she's
her.
just ahead of J.K. Rowling.
Okay, so they're neck and neck.
Yeah, they're neck and neck, and it's a wide margin. Like those two are way ahead of James Patterson, who's third, who's only like 560 million. So they're those two, J.K. Rowling and Bannister. I'm sorry if I'm saying the name wrong. They're in the $1 billion club, but I've never heard of her. Interesting.
Interesting. I'll look her up later.
Oh.
But, must be a Europe thing. I don't know.
Well, she's French, so definitely a Europe thing. You think it would have crossed the pond.
I don't know. Maybe because she writes books on feminism and we're dudes. who
Right, we're
don't
never gonna read it.
always key in as much.
You don't read as much feminism as I do?
I actually, some of my favorite authors are women. But
That doesn't mean they're
as far as,
feminists.
like reading up, I know. I just realized that after I said
Like
that.
no, like Stephanie Meyer. Like I'm saying, like, oh, do you think the author of 50 Shades of Grey can call herself a feminist?
I don't see what she writes about that would
50 Shades of Grey.
explicitly touch on feminism.
No, but, so exactly, that's right. So if you like a female author, that doesn't mean you like a feminist.
I mean, so she's certainly a woman and probably has an opinion, but
Every woman has
I
an
don't
opinion.
think-
That doesn't make them a feminist. What the fuck we going on? Feminism is a very specific thing.
It's a whole nother subject.
Well, Stephanie Meyer's actually kind of
Um,
hot. Huh. Interesting.
What's that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just looking at all the pictures of all these authors. The top 20 richest authors. Yeah. Anyways, not important. Moving on.
Okay.
Moving on.
Moving on. Are we done with sex robots?
I think we've talked. Is there anything you want to say?
Yeah.
Anything more you want to talk about?
Nothing. It was just a little more fun facts about the women who buy sex robots. But
Oh no, please share. I want to hear them.
apparently, the top 3 states where these women buy sex robots are from Texas, Minnesota, and Michigan. And
I get Minnesota and Michigan. Texas is a little bit of a surprise.
I think so. It's pretty big.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the Minnesota, Michigan. I think that men from the north are typically less in shape.
Okay, you think it has
Well,
to do with the
I don't
quality
know.
of men? Or...
I don't know. Actually, I don't know what would drive a woman to buy a sex bot. I understand why men
Apparently,
would.
The person that was trying to find these women to interview them, only one of them came out and actually would go on record and say that she bought a sex robot and give her opinion.
And what did she say?
Well, she was a porn star, or I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
she wanted
but
to see.
she wasn't using it for her videos though.
I think she just wanted to see what it was all about.
Maybe, I don't know. It was
See, I don't understand. Personally, I don't understand what the point of a sex bot is for women. It's much easier for a woman to have sex than a man. If that's all she wanted was just the sex, right?
mm-hmm.
So why spend a bunch of money while some other guy will buy you a drink at a bar and you can have sex?
Well, just because a guy's gonna have sex with a girl doesn't mean it's gonna be good sex. So maybe you can just start from a neutral point and live your fantasy through the
yeah, but
doll.
like I think like if you're gonna get to that argument that like not every guy is good at sex, then why shouldn't she just buy a vibrator?
True. Maybe it's just more real for her. I don't know. It's better, easier to fantasize.
I don't know. Maybe you're right. To me, like the idea of a sex bot makes sense because I'm looking at it from the point of view of lonely men.
I mean, that is the larger market, but I mean, there is a market for women too.
Okay, I'm not disagreeing with you that there's a market out there. It's shocking to me that there would be. Like seriously,
It's
a
more
woman
surprising than you think.
a woman can get sex whenever she wants. A man's got to be good at certain things. Got to be good at talking to women. Got to be good at some sort of craft so that they can actually achieve some sort of amount of success. They have to be somewhat in shape. There's a lot of actually that's not even true. I don't think that guys need to be in shape. Point is, I think there's more to it for men than there is for women.
I think there's just a level of safety and security in the doll too. Like you just because a guy's in shape, looks good, doesn't mean he's not going to be an asshole.
That's a good point, actually, because I know that I know of a few women actually who are really into the idea of threesomes with couples, like
Thrupples?
with thrupples.
Not like thrupples.
Well, like I've known women who say they feel more comfortable going home with a couple for a threesome than they do just with a guy at a bar who's single. You know?
Yeah, because the woman has already kind of qualified the guy
Yeah,
as being all right.
Exactly. Like someone's already done the vetting for you. You don't have to actually worry about whether the guy is, a creep or not. But
Yeah.
to me, at the same time, is like at the same time, like you're not gonna. So if a woman's goal is to get a man or a husband or anything, I think most of the time that's the case, not always. Then like you're literally going about it with the exact opposite approach. You're going with the one guy who's not available. So that part never made sense to me. But I know of women who've done that because of the security that you brought up. It's just safer to go out with a couple than it is with a single guy.
Oh, good for those couples.
Do you think that like a girl has ever saw you as a threat?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, like
I trying to think here.
well, how often do you actually go out and actually attempt to hit on women? Or is you I've known you a long time. I don't think that's really your game.
No, I let the women hit on me.
Which happens actually. It does happen.
It does happen, yes. I usually turn them down or give them my friend's phone number.
Why? Well, we can get into that another time. But we wanted to talk about another issue that actually you brought up to me. The right to own is actually the last topic for the night.
Yes, just because these companies are making these sex robots with their AI doesn't mean you own that software in the AI.
All right. Did you want to break it down what we're talking about, or should I?
You're usually better at breaking things down.
Okay, sure.
You have an understanding of what the subject is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course. So basically, the idea is that, like the right to own is that. Okay, so as our economy is evolving, as technology is evolving and growing, there's this idea that like what we purchase, what we buy, is not actually ever ours. Essentially. So the best example people go to is the idea of ebooks, audiobooks, and like music files. So you're buying digital property, right? Well,
Yes.
it's not.
You think you are.
You think
until
you are.
you actually read the whole user agreement.
Right. So like Spotify, right? So you have a huge playlist of songs and albums and artists that you like to listen to. That's not actually yours. It's it's an interesting part because people the right to own is but like so intellectual property is the most obvious form that we do not actually own it. But like there's actually
it doesn't have a physical state.
Yeah,
per se.
it's not tangible. These are intangible assets. So it's easy to conceptualize, but there's some actual the podcast you sent to me actually has some more hard concrete examples of why this is not a good thing, that like people can't own property anymore.
Well, yeah, in a sense, like the big one in the podcast, it's a podcast about a book actually called The End of Ownership. And the big one they touch on is like these farmers are buying Ukrainian software to hack into their John Deere tractors because John Deere is tired of farmers repairing their tractors, and so they lose sales, and so they put it in their software that only like to lawfully repair your tractor, you have to take it to a John Deere store and get it repaired, and you can't actually do it yourself.
That's so crazy.
And so in a sense, you only really own like the shell of the tractor because of how the software is so integrated into these machines now.
There's actually a legitimate argument that can be made against the idea of right to own. Not that I agree with it, but like we're making discounting all the intellectual property, all the music, all the ebooks, all the movie files and all that. Just talking about tangible stuff, is that we've reached a point where I think we're actually building machines that are so reliable and so efficient that they actually have almost an indefinite shelf life. Like if you buy a John Deere tractor, odds are you'll never have to buy another one again. We're getting to that point, right?
Exactly. So these companies are finding ways to kind of almost circumvent it.
Exactly.
Keep a market in a sense.
And that's the problem, is because they it's actually the built-in obsolescence that like they used to rely upon. Hey, if I build a tractor, you buy my tractor, and then it has about like a 10-year lifespan, then you're going to come buy another tractor. Well, now you're building tractors that are so like sturdy and stable and reliable that you can own them for 30 years and they're going to still be working. Well, John
the
Deere
market pressured these people to make these machines more.
Yeah, John Deere's going to lose money because they're too good at what they do.
Exactly, and so that's when these companies have started to do this, where they can effectively shut down your John Deere tractor remotely if they think you're not taking it to their John Deere store to get repaired.
Right, those terms of agreement that like no one ever like reads, but they all sign, they all agree to. I think the most egregious example actually was the Monsanto example from that podcast.
Oh
right?
yeah, again with farmers. They're screwing over farmers.
That was the most unreal one to me because, for one, I've actually heard of that case. Monsanto is the number one chemicals producer in I think the world, at least the United States. The number one.
Probably one of the biggest bioengineering companies too.
Right. They make Roundup. They made glyphosate. And any gardener or anyone who works with the glyphosate knows that it's like the most effective weed killer on the planet. It just does the job. It kills them good.
You would know.
Yeah, I would know. But
yeah.
But so everyone loves Roundup, right? Well, so then they came up with the product, a seed that has built-in resistance towards glyphosate, towards Roundup. So if you
a product they built.
Yeah, but it actually seems like a perfect scenario, right? So I'm going to plant my field with these seeds that are resistant to glyphosate, and then I'm going to spray the whole area with the glyphosate, which means I'm killing all the unnecessary weeds we don't want, and the only thing that grows is my crops. It seems like a perfect scenario. Until you realize that Monsanto is actually suing farmers who are keeping the seeds from the crops and replanting them the next season.
Yeah. So you have to buy more seeds every year. You can't collect what nature would term like any other natural thing.
You pointed out Monsanto is actually suing farmers for the laws of nature. It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
And these are the people that make America go, you know?
Like I said,
growing hair crops.
No, absolutely. And like I said, I have actually no problem with Roundup. I use Roundup. I like it. I think there's a lot of misinformation about Roundup out there today. But and then they come out with this seed that actually is resistant to Roundup, which when I hear that it's actually like people are complaining about this. What are you going on? You're talking about like the perfect system of growing crops and not losing a single part of your acreage to weeds because you have completely resilient crops. So this sounds like a good news until you hear that like Monsanto thinks that they own the laws of nature now. They
own those seeds that your crops produce.
So
not your hard work that grew those seeds.
Yeah, their argument is that like they developed it's self-replicating technology, so everything that comes after it is their property too. Well, that's
in the sense they have a patent on the genes.
Yeah, the patent on the genes, and since like the seeds are duplicates or offspring of the original harvest, then it's technically still their patent. I don't think that companies should be patenting nature. That is crazy to me.
I mean, a lot of like how the health industry works is you patent like certain methods for like drug delivery and all that. But that's less nature though, you know.
Well, okay. So I'm gonna go back to the example that a lot of people are familiar with because that affects farmers and they're dealing with it. The intellectual property, the media that you consume. The example they use in the podcast, as you guys would know, is that you used to buy DVDs and you own those DVDs. The movie is yours. But now no one really buys DVDs anymore. They just subscribe to Netflix and to Amazon and to Hulu. And so they have this huge database of movie files and TV shows that they can watch whenever they want, but
Mm-hmm.
they don't actually own it ever.
Yeah, you can't like technically go over to someone's house or share your login with someone.
But not only that, like, have you ever come across like when you're watching maybe there's a show or a movie that you really liked and it was on Netflix, and then like the next month they took it off and you're never gonna get to watch it again.
You can't get it back.
You can't get it back, and it's not like it's. I mean, yeah, I pay for the service, and then Netflix decided that certain title wasn't profitable anymore, so they took it off. Well, that sucks because I feel like that's one of the main reasons I had Netflix is because I had access to that film, which I know I'm going to rewatch. Now I can't rewatch it.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's a Netflix original, then you can watch it whenever you want.
Well, like for me personally, like I read a lot of ebooks and listen to a lot of audiobooks because it's just more convenient. But I also
Technically, you don't own those.
exactly.
Well,
But
the big thing is like what happens like when a person passes on. You can't actually gift those audiobooks and ebooks down to anyone in your will because they're only technically yours while they're on that device.
and that's the main issue with this right to own debate, is that like I'm having a brain fart right now. I was gonna say something, but it's oh god, sorry. I don't know. Something crossed my mind.
Beer getting to you?
Beer's getting to me a bit. Plus all the Quaaludes I had earlier. But what I was gonna say is just that like I'm the kind of guy I do like to consume a book via like an audio book because it's really digestible. I can listen to it whenever I'm doing something else, like I'm working or I'm like working in my garage tinkering with something. It's kind of easy for me, but I still like to buy the hard copy. And the reason why I do that is because I'm a guy who likes to annotate. Like anyone who gets my copy of the Unabomber's Manifesto will think I'm a crazy person because of how many annotations I wrote in it. The joke's on them because I am crazy because I did annotate it that much. I gave it that much depth. But so it comes down to consumer habits. Like people are willing to sacrifice that right to own for the convenience of having something right away, right?
Yeah, I mean, there is the flip side to the argument here that there are benefits to not actually physically owning a lot of these different things.
I just don't like being subject to the Silicon Valley as much as we are. I feel like those companies
handing over so much of our own, I don't know, like rights.
Well, the 6 richest companies in the world are Amazon, Google, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, Twitter, I think, or something like that. I don't know if Twitter is one of them, but those are the richest companies in the world. All these tech companies, all located in one part of the world, Silicon Valley, and they control an awful amount of information that we're allowed access to. So now to know that
I
they
see what you're saying. They're just ceding over so much control to these.
We're allowing these 6-7 companies to basically not only like run the information, control all the information that's out there, but also control all the property that's out there. I don't think that that's good with how much control they have. No.
Yeah, all the data too that they own, and apparently Apple's actually pretty good at keeping your data private, but
Oh,
who
Facebook
knows
sells
exactly
your data.
how much.
Facebook sells your data. We know that, right? That's their
that-
main profit model.
If everyone actually had to pay for the use of Facebook, then I think you'd see a lot of more people quitting Facebook.
Well, I'm in the midst of quitting Facebook.
Are you actually thinking about quitting, like for real?
The only thing that keeps me on Facebook is Messenger. The fact that I can get an access to conversations with the people, because I don't like phones. I don't like texting. I don't like a lot of things, but it's very convenient to have I only have like 16 friends on Facebook. I used to have 300. And it's just the people I actually communicate with. Because no one needs 300 friends.
Yeah, and
That's
any given month or
Right.
year.
Well, I I'm really weary when it comes to these. I don't like the idea of being controlled and being dictated to. I like the idea of being a sovereign man.
Yeah, having the option. Like I can repair my own John Deere tractor instead of having to.
The repair thing is a big thing too, because people used to like maintain their own property, but now if the property doesn't belong to you, not only are we losing a certain amount of self-reliance, but we're also
Well, it even goes to like your smartphone too. Like your iPhones are exceptionally hard to repair. And
do you
the
think
cost
the
of
next
repair,
generation do you think the next generation is going to be as equipped to what's the phrase I'm looking for? Do you think the next generation is going to be equipped to be a handyman for the digital age like we have handyman of the brick and mortar age? Like, if you look at our parents' generation, like our fathers, they were all taught to be self-reliant in terms of you need to be able to fix your own house, you need to be able to fix your own car, and that's what's important. Well,
the digital handyman.
a digital handyman. Do you think that the next generation is going to be that? Or do you think that, like, it's too complicated for the lay person to understand?
I don't know. Honestly, it's not something I really had pondered until now. I certainly do see a lot of people on the internet that are kind of handymen, and they make hacks to help your iPhone, or those Ukrainians that help the John Deere people. And
But that's the thing. I think those are the selected few. I think most people, when they say they're more tech savvy nowadays,
because they don't really get anything out of it, right? They don't get any payment most of the time. The few handyman I can think of for like digital stuff, for people to break their cell phone screens and
well, that's a
just
difficult
have too
thing
many
to do.
viruses on their computer. But a lot more people are more savvy on how to get those repaired. At least personally.
Do you know? I've seen what it takes to fix a broken screen. It's a long process, and it takes a lot. It's pretty much cheaper just to get a whole new phone.
Yeah, in a sense. My boss just had his phone screen repaired. He said it was pretty easy, or it's pretty quick, and it only cost him $100. But he has an older phone though.
Well, see,
Yeah.
I really hope that that's the future. That the next generation is going to be equipped to be the digital handyman, essentially, because I worry about that for the next generation. Because I think that...
Did you read that article I sent you on? It was an NPR article about that kid who started a business, and he rented out a room in like a pod over in Silicon Valley, and he used Uber to get to work, or used one of those Lime bikes or scooters.
I did not read that article. Why don't you just recite it to me a bit?
Yeah, well, in a sense, that's it. Like he only had like two clothes, two suits, and he just owns virtually not as much as the average American. And I'm just wondering if that will be a trend. Is like, are we actually really giving up our right to own out of this sort of convenience to make it more?
I think that we're just giving up our right to own for convenience. I think people, if given the option, will take the path of least resistance, right? So my thought that that we're going to have a new age of digital handyman is overshadowed by the fact that I think more people just want to use Instagram to post pictures of their butts. I think that, so when someone says they're tech savvy, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're a programmer and they're proficient with Excel and Access and all those other...
Photoshop.
Yeah, Photoshop. I think a lot of times what they say is, I'm a social media expert. I know how to post on Twitter and on Instagram and all.
I can help you gain 100,000 followers.
Oh, fucking hell. So, yeah, I think when people say they're tech savvy, they just mean that they're social media savvy, which I don't think is a real skill. I think it's actually a cultural and social wasteland.
I would say it is a skill to network or be
Fucking terrible thing, Marty. I don't want it. I want it gone. It's fucking evil. God damn it. Am I a hypocrite because I like to post podcasts on YouTube while simultaneously thinking YouTube is a horrible thing? I don't think that these things are horrible in and of themselves. I don't. I think they're great.
Okay.
They're just managed by the shittiest of people.
It's Jet coming nearly to a moral crisis here.
No. So
Have you thought about that a lot?
No.
Your own compromises?
I think podcasts and YouTube are important. I think that social medias
No,
and Twitter and Instagram are not important. I think they're waste. I think YouTube and podcasts.
We're having a valid form of like discussion.
That's exactly.
There's an inherent value to that.
Okay, listen. The information age, which we're in now, the digital information age, is a technological revolution that's bigger than the printing press.
Oh yeah, by factors of hundreds.
Exactly, which means you can get a wide range of information out there to people easily, fastly, and easily digestible, more so than the printed word. So that's important. So I do think that this technology has a purpose. Social media, on the other hand, specifically like Twitter and Instagram, are cancer. There's something about the fact that Twitter is contained to like 150 characters?
I think it's 280 now. It used to be less, but they upped the number of characters.
It's 280. There's something about the fact that you have to like digest it down to that many characters that makes it so like I think that like Twitter underestimates people. I think that
I don't think they underestimate people. It's just that they've kind of hacked people, and
yeah, but
for those people more vulnerable, they just that's what they want to do, even if they don't really want to do it.
No, but they want sound bites. And that's the outrage culture. We're coming back to the outrage culture. Typically, the person who makes the most controversial statement on a website gets the most comments and likes, and that gets put to the front of the page, right? Whoever says the most outrageous thing gets the most attention.
No press is bad press.
No press is bad press, and that's sort of the outrage. So people actually like feed into that. That's what.
It's what, in a sense, created trolls.
It's not only offense that created trolls, but it also created like the victim crowd.
Yeah.
So you're looking at the two ends of the spectrum, and they're like the two parts of the internet that everyone hates. You got the trolls, who are out there just to try to cause shit, and you got the victims, who are out there just
Taylor
to look.
Swift.
What did she do?
I think recently she was crying victim because this guy named Scooter Braun bought all her catalog of music that she herself wrote but didn't actually own.
Oh, she Michael Jacksoned her.
In a sense, but her dad he's on the board of the record label that was producing the music, and she would have known prior and that this was happening, and she was given a chance to continue doing music with that record label, and she just chose not to. And because specifically the guy that bought her old music she didn't have good relations with, she called him out in a sense.
The funny thing is when I say like the victim culture, I typically like what I think of. Well, I guess I shouldn't, because a lot of people do look to become victims themselves. But you know what I mean by outrage? Like the people who look to become outraged for other people.
Oh, social justice warriors?
Yes, exactly. Social justice warriors. Exactly. They're looking to become offended for people who may not necessarily be offended. The best example is the Washington Redskins, right? The Washington Redskins was a couple years ago was this huge controversial thing. They should change the name, right? This is offensive. Like this is just a complete insult to the Native American population. And then 92% of Native Americans said it's not an issue.
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't see Nordic people getting outraged by Minnesota Vikings.
Fuck, you don't see Irish people getting upset over the Fighting Irish.
Exactly.
I mean, if you want to talk about offensive caricatures for a team name, Notre Dame Fighting Irish. It literally is just an Irish guy putting up his fists. How much more like caricature?
Not even an Irish guy. It's like a leprechaun.
It's a leprechaun, but the Fighting Irish. It's like you could not get more of a fucking like stereotype than that, right? I mean,
and
to a certain extent, I see like when you look at the Braves or the Chiefs or something like that, it's something
the
noble.
Indians.
Or
I think the Indians was a little.
the Indians
There was
one.
some outcry about that.
Well, I don't know enough about the Indians one. I think that the mascot was a little offensive. Is a problem.
Yeah, I think because the way it was characterized.
It was a
Or
caricature.
cartoonish.
Yeah, it was a cartoon face of an Indian.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Whereas
that's
the Redskin is kind of like more of an actual. It looks more like an.
looks
actual
noble.
chief. Yeah.
I mean, okay, the term itself, Redskins, kind of.
Offensive.
Was that ever
'cause it calls
used?
to the
Was that
color
ever
of their
used
skin.
as was that ever used as a slur though?
I don't. Maybe I don't know.
I don't
I'd
know
have to
either.
look into it.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up. It's not like the N-word. I don't think it is. I mean, if it was like the N-word, it would not be the team name. It's
Okay. Do you think that even though 8% of do you think that 8% of people are Indians? Do you think it is offensive that we should listen to them?
No.
No, because
No.
92% just didn't care. But
Well, not only that, I think they actually root for them. Like, if you had a match between the
Okay,
Redskins
okay.
and the Cowboys, and like you're a Native American person, you think you're gonna be rooting for the Cowboys? Maybe you are if you're from Texas.
Mhm.
I think in all other cases they're rooting for the Redskins.
All right, I'm just trying to throw out hypotheticals here.
Well, do you think that is the case? Do you think like okay, so if you knew 7% of the population was offended by, let's say this podcast, let's say the fact that we're named Tina and Karen do the tube, so we're using female names, but we're clearly not female. I mean, maybe
But we're tough guys.
We're very tough guys. Do you think if like either we had a vocal minority of 7% of our fans, assuming we have fans, said that we should change our name because we're not like women and we're claiming to be so that's offensive? Would you say we should change our names?
I would argue that wasn't the point of why we use those names.
Well, right, but then that's the same thing. Like, I don't think the Redskins was named to offend people.
No, that's true.
I honestly don't think it was ever used as a slur, is the thing. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Like, the N-word was specifically said to put down black people. I don't think Redskin was ever used that way.
Would there be like a black person example that might not be offensive for people? I don't know. Like, or do you think it would just be instantly offensive? Maybe like
Darky. I'm pretty sure
trying
that's
to-
offensive,
well,
actually.
because we can find a all right alternative for like Redskin or all right version for the Redskins. Can we
okay.
find all right
Okay.
version?
Well, like, okay, there's a Negro. How about that?
I think people will get offended.
Yeah, I know, but that was actually the term for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
It was never used as a slur like the N-word was. I'm not going to say it right now. I could, but I'm just not
Okay.
going to. But Negro was just used as the term to describe black people. It wasn't used to denigrate them like the N-word.
Yeah.
It just like over time people got offended by it, but then like black became the term, and then people said that's offensive, so they said African American is the term, and then they went back to black because no one actually thought African American was a good term. Now the correct term is person of color, which I think is actually silly. Oh, how about colored person?
Yeah, even that sounds in a sense offensive.
Well, I mean, it wasn't seen as offensive at the time is the thing.
Okay.
That's my point. So
Yeah.
like Redskin, I don't if Redskin was used as a slur, then I take back everything I said. But I don't think it was. I just don't know enough.
Yeah. All we do know is that one statistic saying that 92% of Indians didn't really care.
Yeah, and I don't think that like the point you should ever just feed into the vocal minority.
No, but you should listen to them.
No.
Yes.
No. Why?
That's
okay.
democracy. Yeah.
That's not democracy. It's the exact opposite of democracy. It's saying like the minority rules.
No, you got to respect the minority. You have to listen
No,
to them
you
at
just
least.
shouldn't oppress the
I
minority.
don't think you have to do what they say.
Okay, well, like I'm gonna bring up our example again. So, like, we have 92% of our fans like our show, and then we have 7% of our fans who say you should change your name because you guys aren't girls and you guys use girls' names. It's offensive. Do we change our name?
I'd say I understand, but we're using those names out of a different reason.
And they don't care.
Yeah, I'm still listening to them. I'm talking with them.
You have to listen to them. I agree. You should probably listen to them, but like, that's not enough for them. So what do you do?
Well, then they can stop listening to our show.
Marty, we don't have enough fans to just shoo people away. Don't tell people not to listen. Please, if you're offended by us, listen more and tell us why you're offended. I will respond
Yes.
with.
We'll even have you on air.
I will. Yes,
You can you can shame us on air.
And I'll give you comments of dick butt. It's a
Comments of dick butt.
it's a legitimate thing. Look it up.
Is it really? Okay.
It's a troll thing.
Oh.
It's a troll thing.
Oh God.
I'm not a troll. I've never actually done that. Usually when I find people online that I'm that are worthy of my time and I want to debate them.
You trolled me in person for years.
What? What are you talking about?
The whole Hip Hop Anonymous thing.
I knew you were going to bring that up as soon as you said it too.
Of course I would.
Okay, so I lied to you about a rap group.
Until I actually watched the
You
show.
figured
you weren't
it
even gonna
out.
Tell me over
You
time.
you figured it out though.
Eventually.
I know, but wasn't it a great moment when you realized?
It was totally believable. I'm like,
All right. Brief
God.
brief
damn it.
brief
Darren.
history lesson between me and Tina is I convinced him that there was a local Pullman rap group called the Rhymenoceros and the Hip Hopopotamus, which are funny. And for those who know,
It sounded very plausible to me.
and for those who
They actually sounded decent.
yeah, and for those who actually do know, that's actually the alias of the Flight of the Conchords, which is a popular HBO series. So.
And I never thought much to actually look it up.
I love that show. I should rewatch it. I seriously do.
It is. It's 2 great seasons of just those New Zealanders.
Do you ever
I should
notice-
rewatch it too. I've probably forgotten a lot about it.
Do you ever notice that there are certain things about like the Anglosphere, specifically, I mean like English and all of its other, that they like
the
to,
Commonwealth.
yeah, that yeah, exactly, that they like to make great comedy series, but they're always really short.
Give me another example.
The Office,
Ooh, yeah.
like the British
wonder what
Office
it
with
is,
Ricky
like-
Gervais, which is fantastic.
Yeah. The American way is to make seasons upon seasons of.
The American way is to make as much money as possible.
Yeah.
The British,
But, I mean, you do have Doctor Who as one of the longest running TV shows.
yeah, but it's not any good anymore. Like I
That's one example.
I love Doctor Who, but it hasn't been good in years now. It sucks. I miss Matt Smith. I mean, I really do. I think that was like, I will give Peter Capaldi, that's the 12th Doctor, a little bit of credit. I think he was good in his first season, but then it just got bad really fast. So I don't care. And you're not a Doctor Who fan, so
Not yet. Maybe someday.
we should watch it together.
Well, there you go. Maybe
Hey.
next time I'm over.
All right. Okay. So our next podcast is a reaction video.
Tina reacts to Doctor Who.
To Doctor Who. I know. Well, I'll pick out some of my favorite episodes. We'll watch them together.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we've been talking for an hour and a
we're
half.
pretty. We've been off the subject of the end of ownership for quite some time.
Yeah. I mean, is there anything more you want to say about that? Like, that's the way of the future, and it's kind of concerning.
Yes, I do think something should be done to at least protect people's right to repair the things, right?
That's the most important part, actually. I still believe in the sovereign man over the corporation. So I do believe that
Choose
someone
not
has
to
the
own
right.
things, but I think if you do own
That's
something,
been
should.
people's choice. They rather would just rent things essentially. Okay, so I bring up the example. I think I used Adobe. Like, I want to actually produce better quality content, and therefore I wanted to download the Adobe software, which is actually considered like some of the best, creative,
Yeah.
artistic software there is. Problem is, it wasn't immediately downloadable. It wasn't a one-sum fee that I could pay and then I own it. It's just an ongoing subscription-based model, and I hate those. I really hate those.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's becoming the trend.
I mean, for some things it makes sense, I guess, like Netflix. But like, there's a lot of things out there that just like don't need to be subscription based.
Like creative software.
That like one. I think the
guess-
PlayStation Now thing. Like, when I want video games, I just want the copy of the video game. I don't want to just pay for that same fucking video game 20 years in the future. Oh, I have an
Exactly.
infinite database of video games, but I only play like 3 of them. Let me buy those 3.
I don't know.
Just let me buy it. I want to own it. God damn it. Okay, Marty.
Yes.
Final words.
Final words. Maybe we shouldn't have the right to own our sex robots.
Maybe we shouldn't have the right to own our sex robots. A subscription-based model for your sex robot?
Of course.
Oh,
You
God.
get different AIs.
No. I am curious about that, though. I mean, how realistic are these? Are they going to feel like, to the touch, they're going to be like human-like?
They say they feels very
Are they
lifelike.
generating hot body heat at the same time?
I don't know about the body heat, but at least the feel is very similar.
So weird. I feel like I'm going to be touching like some sort of like those like CPR dolls?
Yeah.
I'm going to be touching like some latex or rubbery substance for the skin. It's just going to like rub off me. It's going to be odd. No, I mean, I'm curious as to how well the AI works, that I can get it to be like exactly what I want it to be like, but I still wouldn't
That's
do
the
it.
thing.
I still wouldn't do it.
It may not be there right now, but once the AI starts improving, I think you'll see a lot more. They already have like a sex robot brothel in Europe, I think.
Yeah, they do. I think in Barcelona, right?
I don't know, but
Yeah.
that or the Netherlands.
I think, God, fuck Europe. I think that like a lot more people are going to check out of the dating game. There's going to be a lot more people who just opt out altogether.
Oh, I mean, the closer the AI gets, yeah.
It's just the more prevalent and available they get, these sex robots, the more realistic they get too. But the problem is, so I think a lot of people like if you go buy a sex robot now, and they're like, let's say an 8 out of 10 in terms of realism, which is fucking good and all, but like then like 5 to 10 years in the future they have a hyper realistic sex robot. Are you going to trade in your current one for the new one, or are you going to get attached to that one?
That depends on like how good they make the ones currently. Like, can you just upload? Could you put in like new hardware and the
Well, it's not
previous
even
robot?
not even about the AI too, because like I sent you that picture of the sex robot, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks real to an extent, and then you can totally tell it's not real, right?
Especially the eyes. The eyes are
Dead. Yeah,
It's because they're so still.
exactly. Now let's say we can replace that sex doll with one who looks just like Hugh Jackman.
As Wolverine.
I use Hugh Jackman because he's the most real of us all.
Not Ryan Reynolds.
I like Ryan Reynolds. I love Deadpool. You think that they're ever gonna do a movie together?
I hope so.
I hope so too. That'd
I
be
don't
amazing.
see why not.
I love
hope-
Wolverine and I love Deadpool. So
yeah, I hope they certainly like to play with, like, joke with each other off screen.
yes, they do. But I think like Hugh Jackman hung up the claws. So I don't think he's gonna. Do you think like he would give up on Logan, which was one of like the best superhero movies of all time, to do a Deadpool 3?
I don't see why not.
I think that because he went off on a high note, then he comes back for a joke.
I think it would be funny though.
Oh man,
I would be okay with it.
I would go see it definitely.
Yeah.
There isn't any movies I'm looking forward to for the rest of the year. I can't think of one, unfortunately.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. I started to watch Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and that's fucking good.
Oh, have you not watched that yet?
No, I started watching it on Netflix, and it's fucking good.
It's good. I
Yes.
love the art direction.
Oh yeah, man, it looks really cool. And that's probably the best thing about it. But then, that's definitely the best part about it. Just looks really
Music and it's good.
It's all
story,
around.
too,
It's all
so.
around good movie. I mean, I'm enjoying it, so I'll probably finish it tonight once we hang up. Speaking of which, I think we should, because now we're at an hour 40. So,
Whoa.
yeah, of course, 10 minutes just went by. So, Tina, final words.
Yeah.
Seriously, make
Again.
them quick.
Have fun in Argentina.
All right, be excellent to one another
Yes.
and party on. All right, for Tina and Karen do the tube, I'm Karen.
Tina.
All right, we'll see you next
Signing
time.
off.
All right, we'll see you in about 3 weeks or so. Bye.